Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video we will be resuming our career play in the game The Hunters from Gregory Smith, published by GMT Games and Consim Press. This is episode 8, and our Commandant Joseph Verhext has actually in the 7th patrol, he eclipsed 100,000 tons of shipping sunk. And for that, he wins the Knight's Cross. So I'm going to add that up here to his medals and awards. And that will give him some die roll modifiers during refit, checking for specific things. So with that said, let's resume what we would be doing here. So it is now December of 1941. So we have now moved into this column of the chart. So we're going to roll our 2d6. We get an 8, and an 8 is an Atlantic patrol. So we are going back to the Atlantic once more. All right, so now we'll roll for encounters. We again roll 2d6, get a 6. Okay, so we roll a 6, and a 6 for transit in the Bay of Biscay, which is where we start, is nothing. So I'm going to move this to... We start here in the Bay of Biscay, and then we move to transit next. So we roll again in the regular transit column. And we get a 7 this time, and 7 in transit is also nothing. And so now we move into the Atlantic. So if we started here, transit of Bay of Biscay, then transit, and then into the Atlantic. So now we roll for the Atlantic. And we get another 7. So 7s are definitely in fashion here. Convoy. So, again, we have a convoy. So the first thing we're going to do is start rolling for our... Well, first we roll for day or night. So we'll do that first. We roll 1d6. Get a 6. So that is night. So it is a night encounter, which actually is a benefit to us. Then we roll for ship size for our 4 ships that we will be taking on. So we'll start. A 5 is a large freighter. So I'm going to take a large freighter out. I'm going to put it on my target 1 box. Then I'll roll for the second one. 3 is a small freighter. I'll put that as target 2. Third ship is a 6, which is a tanker. That is target number 3. And target 4 is a 1, which is another small freighter. Now we need to determine what our targets are. Okay, we'll roll for our ships. We'll start with the large freighter. We'll roll the D10s. We'll use black as our 10s digit. We get a 17. 17 on a large freighter is the 6300 Gustav Reuter. So we'll put him right here. Now we'll roll for our small freighter. And that's a 51. That's actually the Baron Pentland, which I already sank. So I'm going to roll again and get an 85. And an 85 is the 1600 ton Trolla. Now we'll roll for our third one and get a 92. This one is a tanker. That's the 9200 ton Inverleigh. And now we'll roll for our final small freighter. 51 again, which again is Baron Pentland, so I'm going to re-roll. 88. 88 is the 4700 Aeus. All right, so now we're ready to decide our attack here. Okay, so I'm going to elect to attempt a night surface attack from medium range. We have our 4 forward torpedoes will be firing at the tanker, and the 2 aft torpedoes will fire as a second salvo at the large freighter. Now, typically you would take a negative die roll modifier for using the aft torpedoes as part of this attack, but because our Commandant is a winner of the Knight's Cross, that eliminates that negative die roll. So we're gonna wing it here. So we'll roll our tanker attack with the forward tubes first. So here we have our U-boat torpedo deck gunfire. Now this time I can use the night torpedo attack because this is a surface attack using the Uzo rangefinder or optical sight. And so we'll get a -1. For medium range, we need a 7 or less for a hit. Now we'll also get, see, this is the one that would be eliminated right here. So that's the only one we have as far as the attack, but we have to do escort detection as well, I believe. Yep, right. So we get to fire and then we will roll for detection. If I am reading these rules correctly here. All right, so let's roll here and see what we get. So torpedo 1 is a 7. That is a hit. So we have 1 hit. I'm just going to put that there. Second one is a 4. That is also a hit. That's 2. Third one, 5. That is a hit. And our fourth one, 7 again. So that all 4 are theoretically hits. Now we have to roll for duds. So we are in 1941. And it is, they are steam, so only a 1 will result in a dud. No for the first one. Second one's a dud. Third one is not. Fourth one is a dud. So we got 2 hits out of the 4. All right, now we'll roll to see what the results of those hits are. So we have our attack damage chart. So you can see if we can roll low, we'll get more damage. We rolled a 2 for the first one. That is 3 damage. 1, 2, 3. That's going to sink the tanker, but we'll roll for the second one anyway. And that's also a 2. So we sank the tanker. So that is the 9,200 ton Inverleigh that has been sunk. Now we'll check our large freighter. So here is the difference now. Typically, as I mentioned before, if second salvo torpedo, we get a +1. You can see there's a note 1 there. And note 1 is second salvo only possible as night surface attack. Ignore modifier if commandant holds knight's cross, which he does. So again, we need a 7 or less. The first one is a miss. And the second one is a hit. So we got 1 possible hit and 1 miss. Now we'll roll to check for the dud. And it is not a dud. So that is 1 hit. So now we'll check our hit for damage. Rolled a 5. That's going to only be 1 damage. So that does not work. All right, now we have to check for escorts attempting detection. So here on in the E2 chart, okay, 8 or less is undetected, right? But we get a +1 for it being 1941. We get a another +1 for it being a night surface attack. So that's a +2 on the attack here. So I'm going to roll 2d6. We need a 6 or less, or we will be detected. And we got a 6. Wow, I thought for sure I was going to get detected. All right, so he is undetected. So we will now submerge. And we will reload. And we'll see if we can knock out the large freighter here. Okay, so having sunk the tanker, we are now going to attempt to follow. And because we did damage the large freighter, following is automatic. So we're going to follow the 1 ship. So what we have to do here is roll 1 die. And on a roll of 1 to 4, it remains under escort. So it's still under escort. So we do have escorts to deal with. Okay, so according to the rules, we treat this as a new combat, essentially, and not a second round of combat. So we lose contact with the convoy. So I'm going to remove those 2 counters. This one we sank, so I'm going to keep it on there just as a reminder to myself. And so first thing we have to do is roll for day or night. And we get a 1, so now it is daytime. We will again try from medium range. And I'm going to put 2 torpedoes just to keep a little bit of ammunition on hand here. So we're only going to fire tubes 3 and 4, and we'll keep 1 and 2 loaded. And we're going to fire at this large freighter. So since we are at medium, we do not need to roll for detection because we're not at short range. So we get to fire before we get before the escort can attempt to track us down. So we follow our attack sequence again. So since this is a new combat, we don't have to worry about any of the other things. It is not nighttime and we are not surface, so we don't have to worry about that modifier. We do not have any of the other, we don't have any other die roll modifiers from this list. So we're just going to roll our 2d6, and we need a 7 or less to hit. And it looks like we got a 7. So that is a hit for the first torpedo. Now we'll roll the second one. That one's a 9, so that one is a miss. So we have 1 hit. Now we'll roll to see if it is a dud. And it is not. Now we'll roll for damage. So we want to roll low here. We roll the 6. So that's 1 damage. So he's now even more damaged, but he's still not sunk. And we've expended 2 more torpedoes. Now we have to roll for the attempt at detection by the escorts. So here we have the +1 for it being 1941. We don't have any of these other... Oh, we do have a steam torpedo, so we're going to have a +2 on our die roll here. And that is that. I am going to choose not to exceed test depth. So we still need a 6 or less here. And we did not get it. It's a 7. So we have been detected. So now we have to roll on our attack chart. So here's our attack chart. So we're going to roll 2d6. We don't get any modifiers here. We didn't roll a 12 on detection, and it's not an air attack, and it's not 1943, and we haven't had anything hit yet. So we roll a 7, which is 2 hits. Now we have to roll for what those hits are. So down here we have our U-boat damage chart. So you can see here that we're going to roll against this chart right here. 11 through 66, so we're just going to add them together. I'll use the black as the first digit. And we'll just roll the 2 dice and see what we get here. We get a 22, so that's easy. Electric engine number 2. If I can get it to focus. Electric engine 2. So that's 1 hit. Now we have to roll for the other hit. And this one is a 66, which is the fuel tank. So the fuel tank has been hit as well. Okay, so in the interest of making things a little easier here, I moved my combat mat out of the way so I can put my 2 damage markers out. So we have our electric motor is injured, damaged, electric 2, as well as our fuel tanks. Now there are impacts from that for our detection, and we have to roll again for detection because combat's not over. We haven't escaped. So we have to roll again on our detection chart. And so this time we've got a +1 for being 1941. Then we got a +1 for the fuel tank being damaged. +1 for previously detected. And I think that's it. Yes, and then for the air attack, we would have another +1 for the electric engine being damaged. So that's a +3. So basically, we need to roll a 5 or less, which is going to be difficult. And we rolled a 6. Okay, so we are still detected, and we're going to roll on our attack now. So again, we have a die roll modifier for the fuel tank being hit, and for the 1 of electric engine damage. So that's a +2. And we get a 6, which becomes an 8, and that is, again, 2 hits. So now we'll have to roll for damage again. Again, we'll use black as the first digit. We get a 56, and a 56 is the deck gun. And then we'll roll again. And a 65 is the hull 2. So two hull damage. So we'll move the hull damage to 2. And we have a damaged deck gun. So I will put the damage on the deck gun. And we'll roll for detection again. So again, we have the same modifiers because those don't add anything. So we still have a +3. And we get a 9, which becomes a 12. So now we get another +1. So that's going to be a +4 on this roll for damage. And we get a 10. So 13 or more, U-boat sunk. So that is the end of the career of Joseph Verhext, unfortunately. He did win a Knight's Cross before he got sunk, but yeah, we took a beating there, unfortunately. So that is the end of the series, I suppose. And yeah, so unfortunately, that's the end of the career. I do have the new game from Gregory Smith, published by Compass, Atlantic Sentinels, I think it's called, coming. It should be here soon. And that is kind of the flip side of this game, where you play as the escorts. So I may do something, well, I will do something with it, but I was considering maybe doing a career from that perspective too. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it does combine with the hunters as well. So unfortunately, that ends my career. I'm kind of bummed. I was hoping to make it to the hunted, but yeah, the snowballing damage effects can catch up to you pretty quickly. So he did manage to sink a 9,200 ton tanker on this patrol, which I believe I was at 100,900 tons coming into this mission. So that would push us up to 110,100 tons of enemy shipping sunk for the U-39, as commanded by Korvettenkapitan Josef Verhext. So thank you for watching. If you did watch all the videos in the series, I appreciate it. I know I made some mistakes, and the career probably was actually longer than it should have been, potentially. But yeah, that is unfortunately going to do it. We were sunk. As always, thanks. Please feel free to comment. Please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing. If you are a subscriber, again, thank you very much for your support. I do appreciate it. But that's going to do it. I'm Joe. This is the Hexton Counter Channel, signing off at the end of the career of Josef Verhext and the U-39, sunk in December of 1941. Until next time, happy gaming.